I know, exactly that.
What time is it? 5 after. Sorry. We are late. All right, it's just past 7 o'clock, so let's get started. Let's call to order the regular meeting of the Morristown Township Board of Education. This meeting has been properly noticed as set forth in the written agenda. And may I please get a moment of silence, and in particular, I'd like to recognize and have a moment of silence for Megan Booth, who was a para-professional at Baker School, and Linda Ziegler, who is a long-standing former teacher and former board member, both of whom unfortunately passed away this summer. So if we could have a moment of silence, please. Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please, Mr. Heiser.
Mrs. Arcaro Burns.
Present.
Mrs. Fowles Macaluso.
Here.
Dr. Myatt.
Here.
Mrs. Miller.
Here.
Mrs. Morano.
Here.
Ms. Romano. Mr. Weeks. Mrs. McCopolis.
Here.
Mr. Villanueva.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. And as for our routine matters, may I please get a motion for the approval of the June 2023 regular meeting and executive session as set forth in the agenda?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Noes or abstentions? Thank you. Okay, thank you and welcome to those of you who are here. It's almost the beginning of a new year. We still have a few more precious weeks of summer left, and it has flown by, I'm sure, for everybody. While hopefully everybody gets to enjoy some downtime and kids get to enjoy their summers, the district, particularly the administration, the cabinet, the principals have been very, very hard at work getting ready for the new school year. Having been in this seat now for my first summer, it is amazing how much work is accomplished over the summer. And so I did want to thank all of you for all of the hard work, and all of the principals and supervisors and the staff that have been working over the summer for really, really working hard to close out last year and get us ready for this year. It is a big task. So thank you. As I had mentioned a few minutes ago, before the moment of silence, the district did unfortunately lose an existing staff member, Megan Booth, who was a paraprofessional at Baker, who really touched everyone that she interacted with, from parents, students. My 4 kids went to Baker, and I had the pleasure of getting to know Ms. Booth, and I know others up here had a very close relationship with her. She was a really special person, and is going to leave a big gap in the hearts of many, especially her family, obviously, and the Baker family. So I did want to note her passing, but I do know, particularly given sort of her heart and attitude and demeanor, that she I'm sure is looking down on Baker, and I know that Baker will come together and fill, or at least attempt to fill. You can't fill her void, but we'll move forward and do great work in her honor. So I did want to expand on that a bit, because we are all very, very sad and devastated at the loss. And not to turn this over on such a downer, but Joe, I'll turn it over to Mr. Bollendorf for his remarks.
Thank you, Mark. Well said. I too wanted to take the time, obviously my first and probably only summer in Morristown, but I am looking forward to an entire school year to learn more about this community and the wonderful things that happen in this district. Quite a lot went on this past summer, particularly in our need to hire staff. I do want to thank the board for allowing us to really get a jump start on that hiring process. And even haven't had that jump start, we're still, trying to close some gaps at this particular point in time at this late juncture. Obviously, staffing for teachers and paraprofessionals has become more challenging than ever throughout the state, but I'm feeling really very positive about where we are and where we're headed. I'm looking forward to the kids coming back. I'm looking forward to the activities that will start. They're already starting here with athletics and other activities here on campus, and it's just great to see so much vibrance going on. So I'm really excited for the start of a new school year here in Morristown. Having said that, I had to do some homework. One of the things that came up at a couple of the board meetings was the climate and culture survey that had been conducted under Mr. Volpe prior to my arrival. And I honestly had not seen the results of that survey when the questions were being asked. I knew one had been conducted. So I've been able to really pull some things together and do some legwork and find out what happened with the survey, what did we do with the survey, and what are we planning to do with the survey. And so I can report out to the community that, and I was relieved to hear this, that led by Sherry Caravano, who is our district HIB coordinator, met with all of those counselors and or administrators in the district who are charged with investigations related to HIB investigations, harassment, intimidation, and bullying, and shared those results with them and utilized those results to kind of tailor some of their thoughts and feelings and experiences related to the things that they may be encountering, as well as our guidance department. But moving forward, I think that information is relevant, particularly as Carol starts her work with regards to the DEI initiatives that are going to be happening in the district. I can tell you that from my perspective, looking at the results of that survey, I don't want to use the word or overuse the word, but they're generally positive as it relates to the thoughts and feelings. There, of course, are mixed results along the way, but the general consensus, I would say in most cases, 60 to 80% of the time, the results are very favorable towards where the district is. However, we all know, and past experiences in recent times have told us that there is work that needs to be done. So the results, I think, will be very helpful in helping to guide some of that work. And I'm glad that that survey was taken and we'll be able to utilize that. On that note, part of that charge also relates to what you'll hear a little bit later with regards to communication. One of the areas that I see in the district that I think can be significantly improved is our communication out. The better utilization of social media, the more ongoing updating of the district web page. I think our schools primarily do an excellent job of updating their particular web pages, but I think the district needs to do a better job of capturing that information and pushing it out to our community as a whole. And so there is a plan afoot. In fact, part of it's getting approved this evening to start tackling that. And my hope is that you'll see firsthand, if you're on our website or if you're going to follow our Facebook page or our Instagram or any other social media that we choose to use, that you'll see us putting a better foot forward to be able to let the community know the great things that are happening in our schools, that our staff are doing, that our students are doing, and those opportunities that abound for them. I think communicating that out, I think, is really critically important. So I think that you'll see a really dedicated process in place to improve communications across the board. And I want to thank Jill and the committee for the work that they've been doing to kind of push us in this direction. And I think that you'll see some real good results. So with that, I'm done.
Thank you. And I think next we have retirement recognition.
All right. Welcome, everyone. We have 4 tonight that we'd like to recognize. I'd like to call Rich Wolzinski up right now, please. Rich has been a science teacher at our high school for over 21 years. His contributions for our district go way beyond the classroom. They consist of him leading the Challenge Club. He led the Environmental Club for several years. He was a curriculum writer for multiple courses, including a course that you helped create, research and design class. This course was designed for students to explore opportunities to identify, research, solve scientific problems in our area, and a few chose issues connected with NASA. Multiple times, Rich has taken students to Langley, Virginia, Kennedy Space Center, and the Goddard Space Center as well. He was a co-advisor for our Coriel Science Club. He presented for our professional development sessions, and he taught a few courses for our summer enrichment program titled The American Ninja Warrior, Rocket, Space, and NASA, and Preparing for Chemistry. We want to thank Richard and Rich for all the work that he has done here in our district, and I wish him all the best.
I just want to say thank you. It's been a wonderful, wonderful place to work. I asked some people if I should say something, and I debated. Some people said, no, don't say anything. But I would like to leave you with one thought. I speak from experience because I had the pleasure of teaching at 6 different schools in the area. And I have friends as far as Finland, teachers I spoke with. And I'm not going to tell you something. This is something you already know. You are the best. You are the best. I know the board knows it. Superintendent knows it. Principals knows it. God knows, our union knows it. And the teachers and the staff. But here's the rub. Remind the students, every day remind them that they are the best. And here's the thing, with the best, there comes all the glory and the responsibility. It takes more to be the best, more time, more homework, more time on the field, more study time. Remind them that the glory is theirs and so is the responsibility.
Thank you, Rich. We wish you all the best.
Okay. Thank you.
Three more here. The other ones did not come. I'll read real quickly. Lauren McGlone also has completed 21 years here at Morristown. She began her career with us as a special education teacher at UES. While there, she supported our district being the musical business director, an OASIS, which is a community service club advisor, NCLB, there's a name from the past, summer enrichment tutor, and was a summer enrichment coordinator for 2 years. In 2016, Lauren was chosen to lead the classroom and support the district in a newly created special projects manager position. This position was created to help the district generate revenue. Dave and I were instrumental in getting that started. Lauren helped create this from the ground up with our current EDC program, the Creative Minds program, and she continued to expand and support the summer enrichment program. Our district has benefited greatly from the programs that she has managed. We are sad to see her move on from her teaching and from the structures that she has put into place that will continue to live on with the programs that we offer and support our students and family here in Morristown. We want to wish her all the best. Mark Stum is retiring as a bus driver, district bus driver, who has supported our community for 8 years. We appreciate all the necessary attention and safety procedures he used to ensure our students got to and from school safely. We want to thank him. And lastly, Melissa Wigley. She's retiring after 10 years in Morristown as a paraprofessional at the Roberts Elementary School. She has provided support for our teachers and students in the classroom and in the playground. She will be greatly missed. We want to thank her as well.
Great. Thank you, Carol, and congratulations to all the retirees. And thank you for serving our district for the years that you've been with us. There are no student board representatives here. I don't blame them. And so we'll move on to the board committee reports. The first being the what's currently called the Ad Hoc Committee on Housing Development. We had one meeting formally as a committee over the summer, although discussions among board members and certainly with Joe and his staff were ongoing throughout the summer. To remind everyone, this is a committee that's charged at looking at the new housing that is coming to the district and its potential impact on student enrollment and our capacity to support those students. And some of the issues that we've been talking about include revisiting the referendum from 2019 that didn't pass and seeing whether a referendum makes sense going forward. And so we are still evaluating that. I know that the cabinet and James in particular has been communicating with a number of stakeholders within the district staff to examine these issues. And so more to come on that. But this committee may at some point be relabeled a referendum committee. But again, we are examining it. So Unless there are any other questions or comments from other committee members, I'll move on. Next is communications. Jill.
Thanks. So the Communications Committee meeting met on June 28th. It was Brooke, my hat, Mark, me as the chair, Joe Bollendorf, and Dave Tate. And Mark, you were there too, right? Sorry, I'm getting confused. It was Melissa who was absent. So as far as items for discussion, Public Relations Policy 9120, we were asked by the policy committee to, as part of a review this mandatory policy. We reviewed it and we didn't have any comments. We took a look at the communications action plan prepared by the communications consortium that we had a contract with. We decided not to re-engage the communications consortium. The contract expired at the end of June. We felt like it was very helpful to get the input from Ms. Lori Perlow, who we engaged for this several year term to engage communications consultation. It was helpful for her to conduct surveys with the parent community and the school community to get input on opportunity areas to enhance communications. She prepared a very comprehensive plan. We reviewed it at length at the last committee meeting and realized that many of the recommendation areas were things that were already underway. We took an action item to simplify the plan and to stay focused on a single priority around increasing the strategic communications within the district and within the community to raise awareness about student achievements and other district initiatives. And to that end, you heard Mr. Bollendorf talk in his opening remarks around creating a role centered, a part-time role, a stipended role centered around enhancing communications within the district. And that's something that's up for a vote later this evening. And last but not least, we also brainstormed around some other creative and efficient ideas to further enhance communications, like student ambassadors. That's something we're going to further consider at our next meeting in September. That's it.
Thank you, Jill. Any questions for Jill? All right, moving on to curriculum. Lauren?
We did not meet since our last board meeting.
And I think the same is true for finance and operations and
policy
as well.
not since June 20th.
Great. Okay. So we will anxiously await updates next month from those committees. Are there any off-board committee updates? I'll mention one. Over the summer, Mr. Bollendorf, Mr. Heiser, and I had the good fortune of having a meeting with the leadership of Home and School, which was a great meeting and very productive, I thought, in terms of talking about how we can continue to work together and make the most out of our relationship. And obviously the district appreciates the monumental work and lift and load that the Home and School carries. So we are thankful to meet with them and look forward to keeping our lines of communication open. Any other off-board committee reports? Okay. At this point, we'll go to the first public comment section. The ground rules are set forth in the agenda. Cliff's Notes version is if you wish to make a public comment, please step to the microphone, state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes to address the board. And at this section, it's public comment on items listed in the agenda.
Hey, hello.
Oh,
okay.
sorry, I apologize.
go.
I jumped the gun. Can I get a motion to open public comment? All in favor?
Hi.
Kate Wilson, 2 Split Rock Place. First of all, Mark, thank you very much for the commentary you made on Ms. Booth. I think everything you said, I hope it's recorded. I hope her family and her friends see it because it's very moving. So I know people will appreciate that. It moved me. On to the business question. I'm a data person. The area I work in is all about data and statistics. Mr. Bollendorf and Ms. Macaluso, you referenced surveys that have been done. Are they shareable? Can they be posted to the Board of Ed website? Like I'm a big believer that getting the transparency around that sort of information would be phenomenal.
We haven't really discussed doing that, quite frankly. I mean, I just found them at like the end of May, early June. They were residing, I think, with Mr. Volpe and with, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank, Sherry Caravano. So I just seen them. I would have to, I would want to take that up for discussion. It's not that I wouldn't want to, but putting it out in a certain way so that it's readable and understandable. The report that I have is pretty data-driven specific. So trying to putting it into a user-friendly language that would be interpretive for people to be able to read, I think would be something that would need to be done. And then under that circumstance, I think putting it out there would be fine. I don't have a problem meeting with anybody and sharing that information. There's a lot of it. But it's, like I said, that's something I would want to take up for discussion with the board.
Okay.
But a fair question nonetheless.
And I guess just one observation, it was great to hear that you were saying, 60 to 80% of the commentary was really positive. I guess that's Moorestown. 4 out of 5 people are doing awesome. 1 out of 5 is really struggling. So I guess I'm really interested in knowing what we can do to improve through home and school or just through our community, the experience of the 20% who aren't loving
And
it.
what's most valuable in that are those comments.
Awesome.
That's the most valuable. And
Yes.
that's the thing that our guidance staff and our HIB coordinators, that's the thing that we're focused on the most. So they are focused on that percentage and they're focused on those comments, trying to understand where the concerns are and what they relate to.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Can I just mention really quickly about the surveys that were conducted for the communications, just a recap on that? That was really about, wasn't about people's experience, like the climate and culture survey. The communications consultant was engaged to conduct written surveys and then stakeholder focus groups with parents, the community at large, and then with staff. And it was centered around communication preferences and whether the information that was being communicated to the community had any gaps. Was it enough? Were you seeing what you wanted to hear about?
Two
Those
separate
types of things.
surveys.
I just want to clarify that there
No,
were two things.
I appreciate you saying that. I understood that. The culture one is probably the one that I feel most passionate about, but I appreciate the update. Thank you.
Right, very good. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Celie Coleman, 215 East Main Street. I'm also have questions about the communication survey, just
Which
because-
communications are?
the
climate and culture?
communications. Yep.
Gotcha.
Because
I don't want to be the
I'm-
parliamentarian here, but I do want to make sure that this is limited to public comment. Rather, this isn't necessarily a Q&A.
Right, yep, that's fine.
Please go ahead. And I think, to the extent, Mr. Bollendorf, if you feel it's
Yeah.
appropriate, then
So I just want, because I was sort of the one who had the original question about it. I don't know if this was a paid service that we paid money for someone to come survey and ask all these questions, get, stakeholders' feedback. I assumed that, and to hear now that that information that was received is sort of like useless is a little bit frustrating. And I was also going to ask if there was a draft or something that we could be shared, because I did a quick look at the website today, actually, just to see if there's anything updated on there. And under communications, it said that there would be some work groups that would occur following the original survey. And then also a draft shared with everybody, it seemed like it said, by the end of the school year. So that would have been in June. That didn't happen. And now I guess won't happen. So if there's any bridge to all the feedback that.
I just want to make sure I'm not confused, because I think I am as it relates to your question.
Mhm.
Your question specific to the communication survey, not the climate and culture
Right.
survey.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And which was the one done by the independent agent that was employed by the district.
Yes.
Okay. And that survey took place in the fall of last year?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Can I speak to this a little bit? And I
Yeah.
also want to correct the record, because if I said something that implied that the data coming out of the stakeholder surveys was useless, that was not what I intended. The feedback coming out of the surveys was incredibly helpful. We just no longer need to use the consultant, because we know what we need to do to enhance our communications. And for example, Joe's taken very notable action, like creating a role that's centered around enhancing our communications. So the survey was completed. It was fall. It was useful. It did inform the plan and all of the tactics that Joe and the administration continue to do to enhance communications.
And to that end, I'm very happy to talk to you offline to give you some more insight or for me to better understand what it is that, you're,
Sure. I guess my like flat out question is, why is it not being, that action plan not being shared with the community as it was stated it was going to be? And things change. I understand that, but maybe some clarity about
yeah,
that.
yeah, and I
And
don't-
not here. but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to talk to you.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, seeing no other folks approaching the microphone, may I get a motion to close public comment? All in favor? Okay, moving on to the items in our agenda. First up is the reports to the board. May I please get a motion for approval of items 1 through 5 under Roman numeral 8A? Any comments or questions? All in favor? Any noes or abstentions? Next are the recommendations of the superintendent. May I please get a motion for the approval of items 1 and 2 under Article 9 of the agenda, please?
So moved.
Any comments or questions? All in favor? Noes or abstentions? Next, letter B, finance and business. May I please get a motion for the approval of items 1 through 18 in that section of the agenda, please? Oh, I'm sorry. 1 through 17. Second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to abstain, Mr. Heiser, from number 3, please. Next is item number 18 in Article 8, please. May I please get a motion for approval of the memorandum of agreement with the Morristown Administrators Association?
Second.
Any comments or questions?
I just make a quick comment that this is the memorandum of agreement with the Morristown Administrators Association. The board, the MA committee, and the BA's office worked really closely over the last few months to get to an agreement that is both fiscally responsible, fair, and sustainable for our district. So I just wanted to briefly thank the board, the committee, Jill, Danielle, and Brooke. Sorry, I had a momentary lapse. And then a special thanks to the MA committee of Drew Seibel, Kat D'Ambra, Sherry Carabano, and Shelley Rowe. And then a very special thanks to the BA's office, James Heiser, and Vicky LaSalle for all their help in getting us all the information that both sides needed to make sure we got to this agreement. So I just wanted to share that before the vote.
Great, thank you. And thank you, Cheryl, for leading the committee. It's always great to have these agreements wrapped up as we move into the new school year. So thank you for all your hard work on that. We're going to do a roll call vote for this, correct, Mr. Heiser?
Correct.
Okay.
Mrs. Arcaro Burns,
Yes.
Mrs. Fowles Macaluso,
Yes.
Dr. Myatt,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Morano,
Yes.
Ms. Romano,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks, Mrs. Makopoulos,
Yes.
Mr. Villanueva.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. Next, employee relations. May I please get a motion for the approval of items 1 through 27 as amended in executive session, please?
So moved.
Any comments or questions? This is a roll call vote as well.
Mrs. Arcaro Burns.
Yes.
Mrs. Fallis Macaluso.
Yes.
Dr. Myatt.
Yes.
Mrs. Miller. Mrs. Morano.
Yes.
Ms. Romano.
Yes.
Mr. Weeks. Mrs. McCopolis.
Yes.
Mr. Villanueva.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Article 10 is suspensions. May I please get a motion for the superintendent's HIB report? Any comments or questions? Okay. All in favor? Any noes or abstentions? Okay. Thank you. Is there any old business to discuss? Any new business? Okay, next up is our second public comment section, and this is the portion of the agenda where we will hear public comment on anything on or off the agenda. Again, this is not a question and answer session. However, we may address any questions you raise either separately or at the end of this meeting. So may I please get a motion to open our second public comment section?
So moved.
All in favor?
Hi, Celia Coleman, 215 East Main Street. I remembered from a few meetings ago discussing hiring more police officers for the schools, and I didn't know if that had happened yet, and if our students should expect to see more officers starting the school year, or if that's one of the hard to hire positions, and kind of getting them ready if it is going to be a new thing for them come September, to see police officers in their school. And then totally different subject. With the policy committee, I just, as a member of the Home and School Association, I'm curious about the continued discussions. I believe it's about policy 9190. And if we're still looking at making changes in that as we go into the new school year, and how we should be planning our, events and fundraising and things in that line. If, some things might be changed about it. So just a couple of things that are sort of still hanging out there. I was hoping to get some updates on. Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else? All right, seeing. Oh.
Hi, my name is Denise Salerno. I live at 123 Augusta Drive. I just wanted to see what the status of the AEDs are. Last year, during a lot of the sports seasons, there was no AED in the AED box. And we were told that the athletic directors have them. But as we've seen over the past year, every minute counts. And there was a comment that the cold weather wears out the batteries quite quickly. And I think that's not an excuse. And I would hope that all our AEDs are filled, because if we're going to those machines during a sporting event, during a practice, and it's not there, that can be the difference between life and death.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no further public commenters, may I please get a motion to close public comment? All in favor?
Okay, first, with regards to what are we called SLEO 3s, special law enforcement officers. They had an adequate number of applicants. They are being processed as we speak. My fingers are crossed that they'll be starting in time for the school year. But we're in a good spot. So each officer will essentially be assigned 2 different schools. And our hope is that in scheduling them in the way that we're planning on scheduling them, we will have officers at every arrival and every dismissal except one school because of the extent of the hours. And we're looking for help from the police covering that one school at the end of the day so that we can have police coverage before and after school throughout the entire district. And then, of course, during the day, they'll be in the buildings around the schools and able to assist and help throughout the course of the school day and the school year. So that's the answer to that question.
In relation to the AEDs, we can have a little bit further of a conversation afterwards as well. But from what I know, and I can talk to our athletic director to confirm, they actually pull the AED to take it out to the appropriate sports field. So it's available at the sports field as opposed to being inside that box. So they don't have to go to the box in the event they need it. They pull it to the field.
No, we, good point.
Mark, can I make a comment on policy?
I was gonna address it, and then if you've got
Yeah, that's fine.
things to fill in, please feel free. As to the comment regarding policies, you're right. We have been in the process of revising one or possibly two policies as it relates to community organizations. And this has been something that has been on the board's agenda literally for years. And so our existing policies is, I think, a very manuscript policy and specifically tailored and very well crafted at the time that it was drafted, I think. But we have been taking a very close look at it and ensuring that our practice complies with our policies, which it does. But we also are we are revising them. I mean, there will be revisions to our policies. But specific as to your question as to how Home and School should plan its events, I mean, I think Home and School is its own individual entity. And so, that is their prerogative. I mean, it's a separate entity from the school district. And so we are, I think, close to having a draft of our community organization policies on for first reading, although I am hesitant to commit to it being on for next month, given that some of the work that we still have to do to make sure that we are appropriately addressing our various affiliations in town. So to the extent I botched any of that, Claudine, please feel free.
I think we're very close. And I think just to give some comfort level, I think it'll be mutually beneficial result for both the board and all the affiliated organizations. I think you'll be pleased with the result and have some comfort level with the distance that needs to be created in order for you to plan events and have reduced any liability concerns or connection from the district.
Anything else for the good of the order? Okay, hearing nothing, can I get a motion to adjourn? Oh, no motion to adjourn. Can I get a motion to go into executive to discuss personnel matters, please?
So moved.
We anticipate executive be
20 to 30 minutes.
20 to 30 minutes, no action will be taken.
Thank you, council. All in favor?
See you Thursday, Joe.
Okay.